Howdy folks, Damien Turner coming at you again, 4-H agent for Fort Bend County over in Rosenberg, Texas. Today we're going to continue talking about our Western discipline style of riding, with more specifically talking about spurs and different types of spurs and their uses. First off, we're going to begin talking about the different parts of the spur. First we have the ball of the spur. This part here is used for attaching your spur strap, and we can get into that later about the different types of spur straps you can have. This part here is what you call the yoke. And this is the part that goes around your heel and your boot. This part here will be the shank, and this part here will be your rowel. Next, let's begin with talking about the different types of spurs. The spur we have here will be considered a youth size spur. As you can see, really small in stature, small in frame. I would consider this a beginner spur, mainly because of the level of the shank and the different size of the points that are in the rowel. Usually when you're looking at your rowels with the beginner spurs, it's going to be more of a dull point to them and more of a shorter distance between the points. Next we have what I consider the all-around spur. This spur is what I use mostly on a daily basis when I'm out riding and things like that, because you can see here the shank does not have a really deep sink to it, and also my rowel does not have a lot of point to it. Reason being is because when you get to those pointier points on the rowel, it's more for pressure and more for intense feel. And so once I have a horse that I've been riding for a while, that's really used to me and used to my cues and things like that, I go to a really dull rowel, just kind of get his attention just a tad bit whenever I'm riding. And the name of this rowel specifically would be called a cloverleaf, maybe because the cloverleaf pattern and the style does resemble a 4-leaf clover that you'd see. The next spur we have here could also be considered a more commonly used spur. I particularly use this spur for intermediate level horses, horses that I've rode for about 30 to 45 days. It has passed time in, but still need a little work as far as cues and things like that. The angle of the shank is downward, and the rowel, you're going to see, has a little more points to it, a little more sharper points, just for more attention getting activities and things like that whenever you start using your legs and trying to get those cues to demonstrate it to your horse. The next spur we have here is what I consider one of my favorites. This is considered a training spur. The reason being is because if you can tell, the shank is really higher in stature, and actually the shank is a lot longer than the ones we previously talked about. And also when you get to your rowels, you can see, yeah, they're kind of spaced out with the points, but they're really dull on the edges. Mainly because you don't want to put a lot of pressure on those horses when you first start them. When you first start training them, you want to make sure you get their attention, true enough, but also don't want to get them scared, don't want to get them afraid, and don't want to put too much pressure on those sides when you start getting them trained in your first beginning stages. Another reason I really like these spurs is because your leg posture, and once you put your leg posture into consideration as far as when you're training a horse or even using spurs, you don't have to do a lot of movement with your legs and with your feet. So with this longer shank being here, all you have to do is kind of give a little twist with your heel and then get their attention and get the movement from the cues that you're trying to demonstrate to your animal. Now let's talk about the prices of each particular spur. Being this is going to be a beginner spur, price range could be anywhere from $15 to $20. Depending on how fancy you want to be. This one is pretty basic, with downward shank, typical rowel. I would say this would be about 20 bucks. Next we have our intermediate spur. This spur can be price range anywhere from $25 to $45. This particular material is called blue steel, with the shorter shank, with the pointier rowels. I would consider this would be about $30 to $35. So next we have our training spur. Since this would be considered a more of a specific type spur, it's going to be a little more costly. I think I paid around $55 for these particular spurs, mainly because I did get the shank a little bit longer and I did get specific rowels put on there. But like I said before, you have the option of doing different things as far as rowels and shank sizes, but this is what I particularly use. Last but not least, we have my all-around spurs. As you can see, these spurs are definitely customized with my brand and my initials on them. Without them being customized, you can probably find them anywhere between $40 to $50. With them being customized to your liking, anywhere from $250 to $350. These particular spurs are made by Bob Berg Buckles. If you want more information about that, contact me by my email. As you all know, there are multiple different types of spurs you can choose from. These four are personally my favorites, or my go-to that I have used and had experiences with. If you have any questions about any other type of spurs that are out there, please feel free to email me. My email is down below. And remember folks, spurs are used for a training tool, not a torture device. If used incorrectly, it could definitely cause mental and physical harm to your horse as well as you in certain situations. So please be careful when using spurs, but remember, like I said, they're used for a training tool and not a torturing device. And if used correctly, you can get great things out of you and your horse. Once again, thank you for watching. Stay safe, and I'll see you next Tuesday.